Hey guys, how's it going? It's Devs with Creepypasta here, and this is my new channel. I'm going to be doing 100% creepypastas. Basically, I'm going to pick the best ones. I'm not going to touch Slenderman or any of the overrated ones that everybody seems to love for some reason. So, yeah, cue the thunder. And, yeah, let's get started. This one's called Why Sarah Never Sleeps, and it's currently, sorry, I got stuffy nose. It's currently #1 on the Wikipedia creepypastas. It actually won the creepypasta of the month for September. So yeah, but stop wasting time here and just jump right into it. If you guys like this creepypasta, be sure to like it, share it, subscribe. Really helps me out. Thank you. Okay, without further ado, here we go. There were way too many doors in the upstairs hall. Sarah told her parents, but they could never see it. They told her not to worry. They told her there was nothing there, but there was. An extra door at the end of the upstairs hall. An extra yellow door. It just didn't belong. It was the color of disease. It was infected with spidery black veins across its face. One perfect silver knob gleamed in its center above a shadowy keyhole. It did look right. The doorknob stone with a mirror's finish and caught the light from any angle, begging for Sarah to take a look its way. Sarah did her best to ignore it, but the door knew her name, and it whispered when she drew near. Sarah! The door would rasp with a voice like dried leaves as tiny claws scraped across the other side. Tears would well in Sarah's eyes as she'd hurry past, her arms laden with everything she needed to get ready for the day. Sarah! It would call again before she shuffled out of range and closed the bathroom door, cutting off its paper-thin walls. When she'd creep from the bathroom and head downstairs, the door's voice would follow her like a furious flurry of scraped claws and tormented howls. They lingered and they gnawed in the back of her mind as she rushed through breakfast so she could leave the house a few minutes sooner. School was a blessing, an excuse for someone to be somewhere else. At school she could forget the door. At school she could pretend her house was like everybody else's, with the right number of doors, no eerie whispers. But at the end of the day it was still waiting for her at the end of the upstairs hall, with its mirror ball knob and yellow face. She hated coming home, and she knew what was there. But even more than that, she hated going to sleep, because in her dreams, she always opened the door. Every night she stood before it, fighting the urge to reach out. Dread would knot in her belly in anticipation of pain where the hand rose away to grasp the silver knob. Some nights it burned like the driest ice. Other nights it seared like red-hot coal. Very occasionally it did neither, instead turning and turning without ever opening the door, and she couldn't stop turning it until she woke up. However, when the door did open, it revealed a swirly vortex of shadow and sound, with 1,000 voices crying in the darkness. The voices curled around her, crawling through her hair like spiders. She thrashed and she swatted at their skittering whispers, but the words still tingled across her skin. She never should have listened. He sees. He hears. He hungers. They wept and buried in her mind like worms. The Hollow Man! The Hollow Man! They echoed in her mind, and they screamed to her with the gaping vortex. The Hollow Man! He haunts! Sarah shot up with a scream that night, gasping and sweating, but alone in her bed. The clock's crimson face said midnight had passed. But not by much. Darkness enveloped her room, except where there was a vestigial nightlight illumined in the corner by her desk. It wasn't much, but she felt safer when she saw it. She pulled the bedsheets over her head, and she pushed away the echoing voices. I'm fine, she swore, hugging her knees and rocking. It's just a dream. They're always just dreams. The dreams will go away like they always do. She started humming a song her mother used to sing when Sarah was smaller. small enough to need the nightlight, and the panic faded, little with every note. "Just a dream," she repeated. "Just a dream. Just a—" "Sarah?" Somebody whispered from the hall. Sarah froze. Sarah? Are you Sarah?" It was the voice of a girl, not much younger than Sarah. Not at all like the voice she usually heard from the door at the end of the hall. Who are you?" Sarah whispered back from beneath the sheets. "My name is Lizzie. Are you Sarah?" Sarah didn't move. She was terrified of leaving the safety of her cocoon. As the moments ticked by, however, an anxious curiosity emboldened her enough to peek out of the covers. What if it was another girl, she thought. She sounded just as scared as Sarah felt. Sarah crawled from her bed, clutching her sweat-damped nightshirt she worn to sleep in, and waited. When nothing happened, she stood up, tiptoed toward her bedroom door, toward the waiting yellow door, with the mirror ball knob on the wall at the end of the upstairs hall. When she stood before it, her stomach lurched, and for a moment she couldn't tell if she was going to vomit or faint. "Please," the door said in the young girl's voice when Sarah got close. "Please, are you Sarah?" Sarah opened her mouth to answer, but there was nothing but a tiny squeak of nothing. She pressed her palms to her cheeks and smeared away the tears before trying again. "Yes, I'm Sarah," she finally managed. "Please, let me in." The door's silvery knob shook violently, rattled if it was locked and barricaded by someone on the other side. Sarah stumbled back with a gasp, staring at the shuttered alien knob. "Let me in, Sarah. Let me in, please. I can't stay out here. Please help me. Please help me. Let me in." Sarah dropped to her knees, and when her legs gave out, she screamed when she looked at the door. Level with the shadowy keyhole before the rattling knob, she stared directly into a very human eye. Tears shimmered in the other eye, as they shimmered in Sarah's. It darted around, white and white with fear, as if it was searching through the hall, and then without a warning, the keyhole became a shadow, and the silver knob stilled, and the girl on the other side began to cry. "Please, Sarah. Please, he's almost here." The hollow man," Sarah whispered as the chill slithered up her spine. Lizzie sobbed quietly. Sarah scooted closer to the door, her fear growing colder when the girl on the other side didn't answer. "Lizzie? Lizzie?" Silence fell, as if it had always been there. She couldn't hear Lizzie crying anymore, and even the house was too quiet. Sarah put her ear to the door and held her breath. She waited. Minutes passed, but it couldn't have been minutes. Nothing moved, nothing whispered, nothing cried, nothing stirred. She couldn't hear anything but her own racing heart. Was she gone? "Lizzie!" She tried again, afraid the hollow man had taken her. He's here," Lizzie whispered at last, almost in her ear, as though Lizzie's lips pressed tight against the keyhole. "Please, let me in." Sarah's head ached. The world was a little fuzzy around the edges, and it was harder to focus than before. She had to stand up. She didn't dare touch the sickly door, but her legs felt too wobbly and weak to support her. She reached for the knob with a trembling hand. "Please, Sarah." Lizzie's voice was getting smaller. "Please." Grasping the mirror ball knob, she pulled herself up from the floor. It moved noiselessly behind her hand, gliding without resistance, and opened the yellow door. A lonely expanse of the normal wall inched into view, and she felt sick. She worried at her thumb in confusion, and extended a trembling hand to touch the wall behind the door. It was solid and as normal as the wall at the end of the upstairs hall should be, but her stomach churned. She gently closed the door, which issued a soft click as the latch sprang into place, and waited. She hardly dared to move or breathe as she listened to the night, waiting for the door to speak again. Hours passed in oppressive silence, even though it could have been hours, and the door had nothing to say. Sarah grew sleepy, too sleepy to keep standing, too sleepy to remember why she was standing. So still at the end of the upstairs hall? No, she had to go to bed. It's just a dream, she remembered, turning away and rubbing her eyes. They're always dreams. Shuffling to her bed was like swimming through jello, and most of the way she couldn't keep her eyes open. Luckily, she knew the way. The dreams would go away like they always do. The crimson clock was broken when she rolled herself back into bed. The face of the clock was declaring it was 12:16 a.m. to a room that only vaguely felt familiar. But she couldn't bring herself to care when her eyes and body felt so heavy. Sarah, Lizzie whispered, but it couldn't have been a whisper. Sarah, Lizzie whispered. Sarah, don't wake up. Sarah groaned a little. Don't wake up, Lizzie said, her voice echoing in Sarah's mind. Sarah frowned and rolled on her back. She didn't want to wake up. She wanted to stay asleep. Lizzie didn't need to tell her not to wake, because not being awake was the point of being asleep. For a long time, all was silence. Sarah's mind drifted, and she felt herself grow lighter, as if getting ready to float up through the blackness that surrounded her. She could feel the cool sheets beneath her then, and for a moment she thought she heard the papery thin rustle of leaves in her room. He's here, Lizzie whispered at last. Please don't wake up. Who's here? Sarah wondered as she steadily rose. His hollow face, a eerie mask with hollow voice at doors will ask to be invited in to bask above his favorite midnight task. A strange tingling worked its way up to Sarah's body as Lizzie recited the haunting theme in a disconcerting monotone. Clarity itched its way towards her slowly, melting away the fog of sleep. Hadn't she been dreaming? Was she still dreaming? Something was wrong. He's waiting inches from your face to be the first thing your eyes grace, but keep them shut or else embrace a hollow shell shall take your place. Cold dread seized Sarah's heart with a new stanza, and she trembled with the weight of her mistake. For a moment she swore she could feel the air stir above her, stale and strangely warm against her cheeks. Leaves rustled above her bed. The yellow door you always keep, he follows you where you sleep. Into your room you then will creep, your lives and dreams will for him to reap. Lizzie's voice became a little more than a breath within Sarah's mind, and the air cooled around her with the pressure lifted from her chest. The leaves were in the hall. The hollow man above your head, with hollow eyes deep slumber fed, his hollow dreams may fill your bed, but never peek or you'll be dead. Everything was wrong. Distantly, Sarah registered the sound of her parents screaming in their room, and felt tears sliding down her cheeks. No more dream tears. She could feel the wet warmth as each one fell. Mom? Dad? She whispered with a voice like dry leaves. Lizzie? She thought, but Lizzie did not respond. Silence fell over the house, and Sarah knew nothing would ever be right again. From the hall outside her bedroom, Sarah heard the soft click as a latch sprang into place, and she waited. Silence filled the house again. The leaves were gone. Silence. Sunlight peeked through the curtains, and the crimson clock said it was 7:40 a.m. before she felt it was safe enough to open her eyes and leave her room. The yellow door with its mirror ball knob stared at her from the wall of the upstairs hall, and the house was still too quiet. It was different quiet than before, though, a different quiet than her dream. It was the quiet of a tomb, except, of course, for the occasional tapping, as if tiny claws from the other side of the yellow door. Okay, that was a very cryptic kind of creepypastas. What I like solely about it was, hold on, let me get rid of my avatar here. Excuse me, sir. What I liked specifically about it was there was no needless violence. Nobody was getting randomly slaughtered. It was very well written. Most of the words I could pronounce, but there was a few 18-letter words that I couldn't, and I'm proud of that. It was very, very well written. I think the point of this creepypasta was to make your imagination do the, haunting rather than the story. I think it's very good, and I could totally see why it won creepypasta of the month. So, I'm Dev's mccreepypasta, and this is the video. So, if you guys like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps me out. Thank you a billion, and I'll see you next time.